LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Wesley demands.
Now this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you.
I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or whatever movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up and welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host Iris and I'm here with my older brother
Wesley
to bring you this week's discussion on Arnett Dern in Is This Thing On? Is This Thing On?
Better known as The Hangover 4, Phil's midlife crisis.
Except it's really the friend that wasn't invited to the bachelor party that's having the midlife crisis.
No. Bradley Cooper wrote and directed, and Balls is just Alan. Alan became an actor, and his stage name is Balls, and he falls on his head and is kind of stupid and makes questionable decisions. And Phil went home and got married and had some kids and is now having a midlife crisis.
Oh, and Will Arnett is playing Phil?
Yep.
Because Phil had kids in The Hangover.
Well, there you go. And because Iris loves the Hangover series, and because Is This Thing On? Was co-written and directed by one Bradley Cooper, your favorite, Iris's favorite, we're going to be conducting this discussion interview style. Are you ready?
Go.
So the opening scene has a dragon, or a lion, I guess. It's a dralion. Does that opening scene of Alex all zoned out set a tone for this movie of inappropriateness?
Inappropriateness, as in his behavior was incongruent for like a child's assembly?
Bruh, why would you leave the house if you're just going to be comatose with your head against the wall?
It was a little much, I agree, especially for a tone-setting opening shot.
For the kids, right? Gotta do it for the kids.
You're right. If you're going to show up, show up. And we didn't understand until too much later. It wasn't that bad at that point. Unless what we saw at the mirror when they're like, we should call it quits, right? Yeah. Unless that was a flashback and that had happened previously.
It was. And okay. I think on the way home or whatever, he was talking to the kids and explaining to them what was happening. And they were all questioning him and stuff. And then the kids were kind of all up on and interjecting and stuff. So my next question is, are they like goddamn typical movie kids? Or are these particular kids more walking reminders of Alex's accountability? Responsibility.
I don't know what the difference is.
They were in his business and they were like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And he's like, I don't know. And then they found the folder, the yellow folder. And I was like, oh God, stay out of my room. And I was all annoyed by these little curly-headed cherubic kids or whatever. And then I thought, Aww. Well, maybe they are walking reminders that he can't go to pieces, that he has to be forthright, that he has to talk to them and not be secretive. They are more secretive with their friends than they are with the kids. And so maybe they weren't just punk ass kids, but they immediately rubbed me kind of wrong. And I was like, God, it's so horrible that you have to go through this with kids. And then I thought, well, maybe that's kind of more real, that you have to go through it with kids and you have to hold it together. And you can't be just alone in your bed in your sad little apartment when you've got the kids. You know, you kind of got to reminders of accountability, and you have to pick yourself up and go through the motions because they still need to get fed and they still need to go to school and all that stuff. What did you think?
Yeah, in times of trial, I think that's hard. It's hard to show up, but ultimately it's healthy because they don't allow you to completely shut down. They don't allow you to completely check out. You got to keep on showing up, which is basically what you need to do. It's just really hard at first.
I don't personally think that doing what you need to do includes going to the party to keep up appearances. Maybe it's just me, but in the best of scenarios, parties are awkward situations where I'm on and I have to turn my social battery up to full, maximum output, and it drains it really quickly.
Maybe they were being avoidant. Maybe they just didn't want to deal with the fallout. At first, I thought that they just were avoiding having to deal with the gossip. Maybe they didn't want like the sympathetic looks to kind of have to expose their relationship by explaining why they were breaking up. Maybe in retrospect, they just weren't sure yet. And rather than kind of upsetting the friend group equilibrium, they were just waiting.
Huh. Do you have to be sure before you tell the kids?
For something this big, it does seem prudent to just tell them definitively as few times as possible. Like until you know, why drag them through the drama?
While also adhering probably more closely to realism, were you frustrated that the mom was like, don't be jealous of my relationship with her. I love her. Like, when you're the mom, do you maybe take sides for the purposes of appearances, at least initially?
Certainly a choice. It was certainly a choice by mom. I would go more of a loyalty route, like, at least initially, like, I'm with you, I'm on your side, no matter what, you're my kid, kind of a thing. But then again, you can't deny that after the amount of time that they've been together, the mom has developed a relationship with her daughter-in-law.
Sure, and maybe it's immature. I had a pained reaction when she said it, and I was like, and then I forced myself to examine it, and I was like, maybe it's just that jealous isn't the right word, because she reacted kind of strongly, like, hey, she viewed it as an attack on her that he would expect her loyalty exclusively. And I thought maybe it's just the word that she said, jealous, I don't think it's jealousy. It's more just like butthurtedness.
Or you can't expect that because your relationship collapses, that my relationship with your wife, my daughter-in-law, is collateral damage. Like, that's a leap in a way. If they have a real relationship. I mean, would you say that you have a relationship that exists in any way apart from Kelly with her family?
I mean, I hung out with her dad and we watched the Super Bowl when she left me. When Kelly and I split up, that was super rough, but I still hung out with her dad. Yeah, but that doesn't mean he chose me.
What do you mean split up?
Her. She left me for like 2.5 weeks. I mean, spoiler, like, is this thing on? We reconciled, but she just like pieced out and was like, F you. And I was like,
When was this?
Like 2.5 weeks ago. We just got back together. I figure she basically abandoned me. She was just like, I'm going to Malaysia and you don't get to go. And I was like, no. And then she was like, I'm going. But for all intents and purposes, we broke up and she was dead to me. But I still hung out with her dad.
The whole point of is this thing on is that people are allowed to and probably should have meaning in their own lives separately.
And I get that. The fact that they came back together after they both exercised their free will and she decided she was going to go back to volleyball and he was going to do this new thing, they reclaimed a sense of individual identity. Sure. On that note, did you ever expect that they wouldn't get back together?
Yeah, the movie sufficiently set up the possibility. And that might have been a more real ending for Is This Thing On?
You mean Marriage Story?
This was Bradley Cooper's marriage story.
Yep.
And also, especially considering what was it, based on true events?
Yeah.
Was that necessary? What is that all about?
It adds legitimacy, just the very idea. But it was based on this Liverpudlian. That's so weird. A comedian from Liverpool. His name is John Bishop. And Will Arnett met him like on a boat. And he told him the story about the time that he and his wife split up, and he went to a comedy club and was talking about it on stage, and he was unaware that she was in the audience. Now, whether she came to see him and was unaware that he was about to go on stage, I don't know. But I don't think they got back together. So anyway, Will Arnett, who co-wrote the movie, thought that was a great story. And I will leave that up to you to decide if that is the case. But I don't know that it needed to be a true story. And at least I didn't know if they needed a card telling the audience it was based on a true story.
No, this is just my fault for interpreting this movie through the lens of what I know about Will Arnett's divorce from Amy Poehler or Bradley Cooper's divorce from Irina Shayk. And I'm trying to see their stories in this. So that's my fault. I thought, isn't this based on true events? Like, every story is based on true events because every writer writes what they know.
Huh.
But that's good context, Wes, so thank you.
I mean, they both have been through high-profile thingies or whatever with other celebrities, but did you note that they never took off their wedding rings?
Yeah. Well, he certainly never did. I'm not sure about Laura Dern's character.
I was watching, and there was a conspicuous shot where her hand came into frame, and I was like, oh, she's wearing it too. And yet, he boned. I don't know if he was wearing the wedding ring for that scene. I didn't actually check. I just noted that long after they had both told everybody and was well, actually, I don't think they ever told the friends. They showed their wedding rings, but whatever. Comedians are a different breed. Anyway, I don't think they care as much about those kind of symbols.
It's a pretty broad statement to say comedians in general. But as far as I remember, that her character, the one who's just like, we should have sex. Should we have sex? Let's have sex. That she was privy to his separation. I mean, that's all he talked about in his routines. That, he had become close with the people in the club. But isn't that kind of a dude fantasy for just a woman to be like, you're funny, like, we should hook up? And I thought he played it pretty well. He was like, okay. I mean, isn't that what a dude would do kind of in any circumstance if a woman propositioned them? They were available for that?
Number one, this is my interview. Number two, I view comedy clubs as sort of purgatorial places. Does what happens in and around a comedy club stay in a comedy club? Like it's a sad late night thing where you're going to forget your troubles and laugh or whatever and have some drinks. And isn't it also kind of doo-dooing where you work? If he's going to be I don't know that he wants to fraternize or get involved with any of his coworkers, so to speak. It's not like he's keeping to himself. He put it all out there. His nickname for a minute was Sad Guy. Hey, Sad Guy, you going to come hang out or what? It's also kind of a symbol in my mind of I'm moving on, and this is the method by which I'm going to process part of this moving onness. I view that as kind of a final step. Like, okay, if you're going to bone the comedian girl and just have like a fling or whatever, that's part of you processing the fact that you're not going to be able to go back to your marriage. And that didn't seem to be the case, but that's just me.
Certainly, I think it is kind of just you, but also you do you, Wes, and that's cool. I think that your sense of loyalty and commitment is admirable and maybe more representative of the general populace. And yet I think there's a very specific... Nah,
you don't know. You're my sister. I'm a dog. You don't know.
But I don't think that this is uncommon, especially considering the context of their relationship. She was like, I believed her when she said, we weren't together. You had no commitment to me. I had no commitment to you. Basically, you just kind of beat me to the track I was on. I fully expected her to go home with that dude. By the way, was he a football player?
He was. He was one of the Mannings, either Eli or Peyton. I'm not sure which.
Because I definitely saw him as like a honorary captain at the Super Bowl, like the next day. It was so weird.
And likewise, all of those comedians were recognizable in one level or another.
Yeah, so they were like legit comics, which is cool. And probably lended all of those Comedy Cellar scenes so much authenticity.
Well, my next question, did you laugh?
See, I knew
Yep, you knew it.
Mrs. Maisel conundrum
Mr.
was going to
Maisel.
present it. You are infamous for saying that you never laughed out loud once in the entire series, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. The thing is, it's not the point. We're not going to a comedy show. We're watching a movie.
We're
100%.
100%.
No, we're not. It's a completely different framework. Like I went to go see a concert doc last night, and I was not at a concert. I was watching a concert doc. It's a completely different format.
Oh, God.
I think I may have laughed once at Will Arnett, but I thought it was particularly insightful, his Airbnb microwave analogy for being in a new relationship. Being in a new relationship is like being in an Airbnb kitchen, and everything's kind of the same and all the pieces are in place, but you're like, where is the spatula?
Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
And how does the microwave work? I thought that was a particularly apt metaphor.
That was the one where he actually wrote it and didn't improv?
I think at that point, yeah, he had realized that he needed to write and rework his material. But what I'm saying is, it's not only about laugh out loud and jokes. I think those kind of insightful moments are also what I would expect from a stand-up routine. From
an improv stand-up routine, from an open mic. Because one of the key distinctions between the Alex character and myself is when I'm going through maybe the biggest turmoil of my entire life, what I don't do is step into the spotlight to die. I was like, oh my God. Like if you're the king and like the king's speech style, you don't have a choice. But you don't willingly get up on stage for your meltdown. Nobody cares about your truth, Mr. Maisel. Like, this is not the time for profundity. You know what should have been the place for this working through his emotions? AA. It's also our primary source of exposition at that point. We knew what was happening, but not really, until he said it to us through the microphone to also a room full of sad, drunk people.
But he wasn't an alcoholic.
I know. And well, he was in recovery for a failed marriage, but I put it back on and I could not sit through that scene again. His first routine. Oh, it pains me just to think about it. You can't, he just walked up there to die in the sun.
What would you do? You would just go and crawl into a hole?
Basically, I would be comatose, but not at the Dralian Festival. I would do it at home, probably watching the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. The lady actually said when he left, we actually got some funny people coming to the stage, like after him. Okay, guys, we got some funny ones. Oh, man.
You just couldn't stand the cringe. This is just a story about someone who's distinctly different than you, Wes. That's all.
Absolutely true. Speaking of cringe, did you allow yourself to hate Christine, the friend?
Oh, Christine, the friend, Bradley Cooper's wife?
Nemesis. Yeah, the wife's friend, Christine. The one he ultimately yelled at.
He yelled at her? When he was just like, stay out of our business?
He was like, focus on your own shit, dude. And she's like, what's that supposed to mean? She's obviously a flawed person because she loves balls, but she also denied them cookies. There wasn't an earthquake. What forced her to stumble into the room when she was eavesdropping?
Oh, yeah. That was unnecessary. Someone could have easily gotten up, or she could have come in and been like, hey, don't talk to my friend that way. But for her to stumble in was one of those unrealistic moments, kind of like the opening scene with him being all comatose. And there was also one line that Bradley Cooper said where he was speaking exposition in his dialogue, and you're just like, okay, this is just filmmaking that could have been a little finessed. Did I not like her?
Right.
No, I kind of did. She was kind of like the truth spitter and could have exercised a little bit more delicacy in their vulnerable state. But she's just like defending her friend. She's like, what? Are you saying that because you feel guilty for what you did? And it hints at what Laura Dern's character might be saying to her friend in confidence. She was like a little bit of a darker version of Regina King's character in Jerry Maguire.
Marcy.
Yeah, she has a real relationship with her husband where they love each other, but they can also express their hatred of each other. And it goes both ways because they have a real relationship and open lines of communication. But in the end, like, Marcy loves her husband. She says, this does not work without him. We're doing life together. And that was exactly the kind of wake-up call, as the film is structured, that Alex needed.
Dude, Alan, what's his name? Balls? That is the luckiest dude ever to exist.
Why?
Because he has a wife who's just like, you're an idiot. I love you and we're in it for good. She was the deceiver. She was the cookie withholder and maybe could have been more subtle, is all I'm saying. Speaking of subtlety.
Yes.
Bradley Cooper apparently felt that he needed to be in the scenes. So for the scenes in which he didn't appear, he did most, if not all, of the handheld camera work and was all up in Will Arnett's face. As subtlety goes...
Super up in his face.
Was it acceptable that he would have the Alex character say, surfers have strong forearms, and then pan down to Will Arnett's forearms?
I definitely noticed that. What's the question?
I'm not sure about the subtlety of this movie if all the subtlety checks were in place.
Come on. I mean, Bradley Cooper doesn't need to pander to the audience, and he hasn't, typically, at least as an actor and director. There were subtle hints that suggested that maybe he lacked some confidence, whether in the storytelling itself or in the audience, like that moment, that admittedly took me out. But this is just like the minorest of scratches in the Bradley Cooper armor. Like, what a cool story. What a cool small story, intimate story, personal story for him and basically all of his friends to tell.
So you figure it was deliberate. Like, this is the one. Maestro was the one a few years ago. This is the one? Or did he take a big swing with Maestro and then maybe, I mean, he connected, but he didn't hit it out of the park the way he kind of hoped. So many nominations. Did he not turn to a sort of almost famous style personal love letter to stand-up comedy or something with this one? A marriage story, divorce story style, handheld little independent fable?
Yeah. In a way, I really don't see Maestro as a failure. But I do see this as an attempt at something more indie, more intimate, and more personal.
Yeah, I have an issue with maybe the worst self-casting. Bradley Cooper as Balls, he was so silly and dumb.
Was it just hard for you to see Bradley Cooper being hapless? What's your problem with the Balls character? He's a little caricaturish.
A little. He was an idiot. He said something like where he fundamentally misunderstood like a word or something. I can't remember what Balls said.
You're talking about the picture conversation where he's like, she's looking away from us. And he's like, yeah, because that's how the picture was taken. The picture was taken of her back. Like, you can't just turn it around. And he's like,
oh, yeah, that's right. He's like,
someday. Which is true, which is absolutely true. Have you seen what AI can do with photos? You can animate scenes from a photo that didn't exist.
It happened in Enemy of the State like 25 years ago, dude.
I'm just saying, maybe he's silly and he's unpolished and you don't like his presentation. But fundamentally, people are allowed to be idiots.
Man, even on stage at an open mic, when she showed up with Eli or Peyton or whatever, and I was like, oh God, it's going to be horrible. And it ended up being, well, number one, it kind of turned her on, which was weird. And
Why was it weird?
Why was it weird that it turned her on? Are comedians hot?
Yeah, sometimes.
So is it like unvarnished honesty up there for like people to like,
ding, ding, ding,
like
ding, ding.
judge me or whatever? So the comedy thing, in this case, it was a little bit like alcohol. Like it doesn't change who you are. It more just sort of amplifies your existing personality. Alcohol seems like it just makes you more you. So when I think what he did and their ultimate fight, which I thought was going to be like a step back, you know, when they started yelling and stuff. Initially I thought, oh, that's a step in the wrong direction, but it ended up being basically therapy. You know what I mean? Like they aired out their grievances and put it all on the table. And they were like, okay, well, I guess eventually let's just be unhappy together and give it a go.
That was his proposal to her at the end. It's kind of a weird theme and threw me for a bit of a loop after seeing the movie. Is that what life is about? Is that what relationships are about? You're going to be unhappy, so let's just be unhappy together. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that's a universal truth. But the film did convince me that there was enough of a relationship there that still existed between these two people. Yeah. That maybe was worth salvaging if they were both up to the task.
Salvaging that foundation for them to go and kind of rekindle or seek out the things that made them happy as individuals. Again, I think his was a little bit more accidental. All he wanted was a drink and didn't want to pay the $15 cover and stumbled into this thing, whereas she actively sought out a previous life, returning to volleyball. But yeah, they found the silver linings in their middle-aged playbook. Also Bradley Cooper.
That's another Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Another Bradley Cooper reference.
Where he was all used up and useless, and Laura Dern came back into this one fresh off of Marriage Story, which she was also in, even though she was the lawyer. A lot of parallels.
Yeah, she was the blood-sucking lawyer.
Yeah, dude, I think that's the one for which she won an Oscar, right?
She won an Oscar? Wait, Oscar winner for Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role for
Booyah.
Marriage Story. She was also a nominee for Wild, and then a nominee for Rambling Rose.
No one is better at this pained consternation thing than Laura Dern. Check her out in one of my favorite roles of hers, the underrated 99 Homes, Ramin Barani. Did you cry over the toothbrushes?
Oh,
unrealistic.
What a great moment for her. What did the toothbrushes symbolize for you?
It was the life. It was the fun of the kids and their like happy family home thing where they got flashy light up toothbrushes. And now that joy of being kids wasn't in her life. That was at his apartment, right?
Yeah, at his halfway house, as she called it.
Yeah, unrealistic that in a halfway house, the dad would get the good toothbrushes. He would get some janky 99-cent store stuff.
Dad would. Our dad would. But not this dad. This dad loved his kids, and this dad loved his family, and this dad...
Are you suggesting that our dad did not love his kids?
He loved his kids in a different way.
Okay. I'm saying maybe, so it was just unrealistic to us that they would get the good toothbrushes at Dad's house, the light up electric ones. Okay, maybe.
The cute kid stuff is really... I thought it was like so dumb and unnecessary and superfluous and expensive, and it's like the cutest stuff.
You're a sucker.
I am, but it's also so fleeting, and you know it's not forever. And the little toothbrushes were representative to me of him being just like a good dad, and that wasn't what was wrong with their relationship. It wasn't that they were bad parents. They were great parents who were co-parenting through a very difficult time in their relationship.
Yeah. So Will Arnett's character, Alex, was the performer. He was a stand-up comedian who none of what it was really performative. He was mostly sad and quiet and reacted and had that deep voice or whatever. And Laura Dern's character was the mom, and she was sad, but she was also wildly aggressive in comparison. Like, it seemed like when she was the one who's like, we got to call it. He's like, yeah. And then she was super overcompensating with all this energy at the party and coming hard. Like, he's living life. It's beautiful. And stuff, and stealing cookies and getting all stoned and stuff. She seemed like she was pretty aggressive. But it was good for their
She's a professional
characters.
Athlete.
And a professional actor, and is great in that respect. It seemed like the roles were not reversed, but just unique. For a movie that all happened the way I kind of envisioned it happening, it felt like the Hamnet of romantic comedies.
Which means what?
It was kind of more sad than anything, and there was a lot of moping and a lot of misery and a lot of going through the motions that you have to do because your kids fully depend on you, and then ultimately finding some catharsis and maybe even some happiness moving forward.
So why did I feel like I was defending Is This Thing On
Because
the whole entire time?
Because you can't just be like, I loved it because it was Bradley Cooper. That's why.
I'm aware that my ratings are often inflated when it comes to Bradley Cooper. It wasn't the best thing ever, but it was the truths that this movie uncovers are little gems, are little redeeming gems that make this a little gem of a movie.
And now you're telling me it's going to win. Was it nominated for anything?
It was nominated for some
special effects,
some faces,
sound mixing,
Golden Globes. No Academy Award nominations.
But the understated Will Arnett gets a Golden Globe nomination. It's a shame for him. The Golden Globes don't mean anything. But Is This Thing On was a good dregs movie. It was just tough because I was going through my own, for all intents and purposes, divorce and separation, and it was a tough time.
You're so dramatic. People are allowed to go away for a week. You're so weird.
But then I also was allowed to be a total unshaved, useless lump wreck.
And that's our discussion here at orwhatevermovies, orwhatevermovies.com, or wherever you get podcasts on this Not Dregs Awards movie at the tail end of award season here at Or Whatever Movies. So thanks for listening. 818-835-0473 orwhatevermovies@gmail.com, and we'll see you next time.
How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Tap the banner or visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Electricast.